Hi everyone, today I thought we should talk about CVs because I think CVs are very, very important, especially for the fashion industry, which I'm going to be talking about today. These are things that I wish I knew before I started my fashion degree, or that I knew before I started designing my CV, and things that I just in general wish I knew beforehand, because I feel like it was definitely a learning curve in terms of what people would want to look at, as well as what would look good and what would really attract an employer to my CV. So this is going to be more in the fashion sense, because that's of course the degree that I have been doing. I'm in my third year, I'm about to graduate, and I have done 3 placements with 3 fantastic brands, and I've learnt so much about CVs and portfolios, and I just feel like if this could help like even one person out there, it would be so worth it, because these are things that I genuinely wish I knew, and that I do get emails from quite a few people that are on my channel. Like, my videos are not even that watched, but it's just so nice to see like emails from you that you want to know some answers. I mean, I'm just a fashion student, but these are things that, I really wish I knew. So the first thing I would do is make a separate fashion CV. It depends what kind of background you come from. If you come from like a retail background where you've been working in, I don't know, Topshop or Zara or H&M or something, you can totally combine it, because that's so relevant, I think, to the fashion industry. It shows that you have an idea into retail and that you could understand customers, and you've been working in that environment. Whilst if it's something totally unrelated, definitely separate it. For example, I do a little bit of stuff like with Formula One, and not with Formula One, but like I have a severe interest in Formula One, but that's not going to go into my fashion CV because it really has absolutely nothing to do with it. So totally, like, I just totally separate it. The other thing is, don't put a photograph on it. Don't put a picture of yourself or your work. What this does is it can be great, because maybe the employer is like, oh, she looks very, like professional, maybe we'll hire her. The thing about CVs is that often people don't put photographs, and I just don't think it's a good idea. People can just judge you and be like, no, why would you put a photo on there? I don't really want that person, or if it is your work, they might not like your work. Or they might not think it's suitable, and then they might just bin your CV. I just don't think it's necessary to put a photograph of yourself on your CV at all. I personally wouldn't do it, because there are very few people that would do it, and I don't think it's necessary. And again, you can Google why, why should I put a photo on my CV, or anything like that. I just don't see the point of it. I really honestly don't. The other thing is, make it look professional and eye-catching, but not crazy. Like, I think an infographic style is quite cool, and the thing about fashion or even graphic design is that the way you design your CV can be quite... I think, when people come from like a fashion background or like a graphic design background, and they're looking for, or that, they're a company from that, and they're looking at your CV, it can be like, how creative are they, and what does your CV tell them about you, the way that you've designed it? Did that even make any sense? Basically, my CV has a kind of infographic style, but it's still clean and modern, but minimalist. I think that having, an eye-catching yet professional-looking one is probably the way to go, rather than having crazy colours, lots of graphics, prints. Again, I don't think it's worth putting your own work onto it in terms of photographs. Having an introduction or a logo or both. I have a little logo just with my initials on it, just to make it a little bit more professional, but having an introduction can be a good thing. But I would, from what I've learnt from other companies that have told me, is don't just keep writing, I am about to graduate. I have an interest for fashion and textiles. I'm very hardworking. The repetition of I is just, I don't think would work very well. See what I did there. The other thing is, remember contact details. Super important. Obviously, don't need to say why. List all relevant awards, placements, and education. relevant, I think. And yeah, education is obviously very important. They want to know where you're from, and awards, placements. These are things that can really boost you in terms of, if you've won an award and you don't put it onto your CV, that could just lower, your chances automatically. LinkedIn is also great. I would highly, 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 highly suggest signing up for LinkedIn, because you can apply for jobs straight from LinkedIn. And social media, I have 3 social media icons on my CV. The thing you have to be really careful with, I feel like, with social media, and I was told this before by another company that I was interning at, is that it's good to put your social media on there, but be careful what you put on your social media. I have my LinkedIn, my Twitter, and my Instagram on there. I don't tweet or Instagram anything ridiculous, so I'm perfectly fine with that. If they look me up on Facebook, I have literally nothing to hide. And LinkedIn is, very professional for me anyways, so, I think that kind of maybe would put them at ease, like that you are sharing that with them, and that, if you have anything, they can just look it up anyways. So, the other thing is list languages. I didn't know about this until I was with a company that I recently just won an award with, and they said it's very, very important to list languages, because again, you just don't know what that employer is looking for. I mean, of course, they write what they're looking for, but a language might be very, very important for them. It might automatically boost your CV up. And it also shows maybe another, that you have another language and that you can speak another language. The other thing is list places that are travelled. I didn't even think that this was important, but apparently especially in fashion, maybe it's, well appreciated if you're well travelled, or if you are privileged enough to travel and you've seen different cultures and countries and places. I have travelled a lot since I was very young. I've lived in 4 countries and 4 continents, so I mean, listing places that I've travelled is on my CV, because that is a huge part of my life, and it shows another dimension to me. So that's very, that's pretty much on my CV. But again, it just depends if you want to, and again, if you have space on your CV. Add a small reference on the bottom of your CV. I'm looking here because my blog post is right here, and it's on my blog, so I'll leave a link to it in the description section below. Add a small reference on the bottom of your CV. I have totally done this because I don't think anyone wants to read references available at request. There's no point you even putting that on your CV if that's all you're going to write, because what that happens is, say you're applying to H&M or Zara or whatever, and you put references available at request, right? They have to then email you and ask you, well, so who is your reference? You email them the email address of your reference, and then they have to email the reference. Would any company most likely do that? No. So if you want to put a reference on there, either put a little reference on there, like a little sentence, or don't bother putting a reference at all. That's something I have definitely learned, because there's just no point you putting references available at request. If they want a reference, they will email you anyways, even if you don't have that on your CV. The other thing is, and also there's no point really putting that if you're applying for like an MA or a job or anything, because they will have a separate reference section anyways. Graphics that can be eye-catching to the user, but make sure that they are very simple and effective. Again, not crazy and weird. The other thing is keeping your CV black and white, or eye-catching if it's still photocopied. So it should look good black and white, should look good in colour, or if your CV is black and white, mine is like black, white and grey, so when it gets photocopied, it's technically 3 colours, which is kind of cool. Also, yep, I already talked about not putting your photo of yourself, and if they want to see your work, send them a portfolio review. Not a portfolio review, portfolio link. Just do that. If they want to see it, of course. If they don't want to see it, then they don't want to see it. Also, this is very, very important. A lot of the time, companies, or you might have to submit a cover letter or a personal statement. These two should most likely, this is again another thing I've learnt from some of the internships that I've done, this should probably go with the house style of your CV. So if your CV has like a little grey border that runs across the top of it with your name on top or something, for your personal statement, have that same grey border with the logo, but then just change it so it says personal statement, and then have it in the same font as what your CV is, so it just goes together, looks professional, it looks like you've taken the time to do it, when in fact you might have just, you know, already kept that little template and then just wrote your little personal statement inside. These are just very simple things that I've learned from doing a fashion and textiles degree and doing 3 internships, but things that I wish I had known earlier, because I just feel like, you know, if I had this knowledge beforehand, I feel like I just would have been much more, I wouldn't have spent so much, you know, time just worrying like, oh my god, what do I need to put on my CV? Is this right? Is this wrong? But yeah. Overall, all of this information that I have received has been very, very valuable, especially because it is from the industry itself. As I mentioned, I am a fashion textiles, like, about to be graduate, and this is just information I received from the industry, and I just think that, you know, I changed my full layout of my CV like 3 times to really highlight the strengths. So yeah. So if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye!